Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. I'm going to start this video with a few things that I don't know if you're aware of. And then I want to get into the meat of this, which is knowing that when SHTF happens, it's going to happen longer than we anticipate and will require more resources than you think you will need. So before we get into that, the first thing is Tyson joined with a company called Protix, Protix. You can look it up. They are the world leader in insect ingredients. They're an insect ingredient company. Now, Tyson Foods, mainly Tyson chicken, right? It's really scary that they have joined up with this Protix company that is an insect ingredient company. So anytime that you go to the grocery store and you buy anything, check the labels. I've heard now that they might start even putting warning labels on your regular meat products. So you go to buy that, that nice T-bone that you want to throw on the grill. There might be a warning label on there that meat is bad. So just start paying attention to labels and start paying attention to ingredients. Specifically Tyson right now, but I'm pretty sure that they're not the only ones that are incorporating this insect ingredients or these insect ingredients in their products. So just be aware of that. The second one is that with all of this fighting with between Israel and Hamas, just remember that right now this administration and others still believe that MAGA people and Christians are a bigger threat to the United States than Hamas. So, in effect, MAGA and Christians are even worse than the terrorists that Hamas is. So be aware of that, regardless of what your affiliation is. The next one, this Jordanian man that wanted to cause harm on U.S. soil against Christians and Jews. Jordan is well known for their drugs and their trafficking and their terrorists coming out of their region. Coincidence? The next one, and I know I'm going through this really quickly because I want to get to the heart of what I want this video to be about. Governor Newsom from California, having come back from a trip to the CCP, he is going to start tracking California citizens and surveilling them, what they call from the cradle to career, although I believe it's cradle to the grave. He is going to start implementing the social credit score. So what are you doing? What are you saying on social media? What are you spending your money on? Where are you traveling your non-electric vehicle to? Right? He wants to be able to track you from cradle to what he says is career. Usually what happens in one state kind of spreads out like a disease to other states. So look for that starting to happen. I mean, we all know that everything that we do is being watched. We know that. We're not ignorant or naive. But this takes it to the next level. Now, he hasn't come right out and said, well, if you do this, this is what happens. He hasn't come out and said that, but you know that's where it's going. Anytime social credit scoring gets thrown into the mix, right, you know that if you're not regurgitating their narrative, that social credit score is going to go down. If you're not spending money on what they think you should be spending it on, which is really hilarious considering, housing prices right now are absolutely ridiculous, right? There was a woman in Florida, actually. She lived in a trailer park that had, and the entire trailer park had just gone downhill. Like, it was, and I hate to frame it this way, but I'm going to. It was almost like a war zone. Like, these were all very impoverished people. And almost her entire disability check was going towards rent. And so she didn't have a lot of money for her other bills. She already had her water cut off. The Red Cross had stepped in, and they're trying to give all of the people in the specific trailer court resources, right, to help them get back on their feet. With the housing, I mean, it's, in my opinion, asinine. She was paying, like, I think it was, I'd have to look it up again, but I think it was like $1,600 to live in this trailer park. That's insane. Absolutely insane. So we're kicking people out, but we are allowing, I have to find my note on this one, illegal immigrants coming into this country from the northern and the southern border, and they're being allowed to come into hotels in sanctuary cities, right? And they're kicking the military people out. They're kicking American citizens out, and they are allowing these illegal immigrants to come in, and they're giving them food and medicine and cell phones, but yet we're not doing that for our own military veterans, and we're not doing that for our own American citizens. And they're also taking over schools and play yards and parks, that kids get enjoyment from, American children get enjoyment from. Well, why are they doing that? Are these people coming across the southern border on the military payroll? Are they being paid to be here? I watched a lady on this platform, and she talked about this. There really is no other explanation as to why American citizens are being treated so horribly and thrown in the trash, where if you come across either border illegally, you are given everything. It doesn't make sense. The only thing that the lady that I watched, and I can come to as a conclusion is that they are on the payroll. This is all for a reason. You notice who's coming across the border. It's mainly young, fighting age, single men. They're using children, which now I believe it's being talked about putting back in place where the children have to be fingerprinted so that they can't bring the children in and then send them back and then use that same child again to bring other people into the United States. But it just does not make sense why I can't. If you can think of a better reason for this happening, put that in the comments section below. But right now it seems to me that these illegal immigrants are being put on some kind of a payroll, and our veterans and our American citizens are just being thrown in the trash. And that's bogus. That should never be happening here. You know, like I said, the housing prices are so absolutely asinine. Where are all of these people going to go that are getting kicked out of all these places? Oh, we don't care. You know, that's basically what they're saying. You know, why aren't they putting the illegal immigrants into the FEMA camps? Why aren't they building FEMA camps for these illegal immigrants instead of kicking our veterans and our American citizens? They even had, and I think I talked about this in a video before, where this entire wedding party had this hotel, right? They blocked off a good section of this hotel, canceled, because the hotel was getting more money from the government to house illegal immigrants than they were getting from this wedding party. Why are their rights more important than ours? Why is that? And it's coast to coast. So that's just a question. So here's the thing about what's going on. And I'm going to try to make this very brief. But so we're hearing about, you know, Israel and Hamas. Now, I don't know where y'all stand on that. Personally, I will always and forever stand behind Israel. So Hamas, you know, it's a terrorist organization. They are, in effect, the government of Gaza, if you will. The Palestinians that live there elected Hamas to govern that strip of land. Okay? That's number one. That needs to be kept in your mind. The second thing I want is Hezbollah. So Hezbollah is a Shiite organization. If you don't know the difference between the Sunnis and the Shia, the only difference is they argue about who should have succeeded Muhammad. The Sunnis believe Abu Bakr and the Shia believe Ali. That's the main difference between the Sunni and the Shias. Hezbollah are Shiites. Okay? But did you know that they have a very strong presence in Belize, Venezuela, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay? Okay? There's always these 6 degrees of separation. If you know Islam, the only difference between Islam and Jews and Christians, well, there's several differences, but one of the biggest ones is that Jews and Christians descended from Abraham through Isaac. Islam descended from Abraham through Ishmael. That's the biggest difference between Islam and Jews and Christians. And of course, there's a lot of now, you know, between the Quran, the Torah, and the Bible, you know, there's other obvious differences. But we are all three come from the Abrahamic base, if you will. Okay? And I could go into the whole history of that, but I don't want to do that. The bottom line is that Hezbollah has, so Iran, who is the biggest backer of Hezbollah, right? Hezbollah wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the financial and resource backing from Iran. Iran and Venezuela have had a very strong alliance since 2011. Okay? But I want you to remember that Hezbollah has cells, strong cells. They're not even hidden cells. They're just out there Belize, Venezuela, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay. So tell me again, who exactly is coming across that southern border? And we focus a lot on the southern border, but we can't forget that we're having the same issues on the northern border. Okay? So with all of these people coming across the southern border, and we don't know from which group of people they are from, right? You know, we don't know if they're actual people that actually have a legitimate reason to seek asylum, or if they're just being put in here because we have to strengthen the sleeper cells that we already know are here, which would be my guess. Okay, I had said in a video, maybe a few videos back, that they're just waiting for that battle cry. We're not there yet, well, thankfully. But anything that we do against Iran, we will get hit on American soil. Now, do I agree with that person in the White House where, what is it now, 42 of our bases have been hit over in Syria in that area, and we've had wounded U.S. troops, and nothing has been done about it? Oh, they lob, you know, a tennis ball here and a tennis ball there. This administration is very weak, and I don't know what the word is. I don't know if it's feckless. I don't know what the word is, but they're basically ineffective. Like, we're not going to scare Iran, right, under this administration. And so this is going to keep happening. Our military troops over there, which, number one, why are they still there? And number two, why are they allowed to be attacked and we're not doing a damn thing about it? You know, everything happens because somebody wants it to happen. Keep that in mind. So the point of this video is that SHTF, and I've said many times that, you know, we as preppers try to figure out from which direction that SHTF is going to come. I'm beginning to think more and more that SHTF is going to happen in many forms all at once. Terrorist attack on U.S. soil, power grid down, train derailments. We've had how many chemical plant explosions in Texas? Again, is that a coincidence? I think not, right? We have to assume that SHTF is going to come from multiple fronts, okay? But here's the key thing I want you to pay attention to. Whatever SHTF happens, in whatever forms, plural, that comes in, it is going to last longer than you think and is going to require more resources than you think. So your food, your water, your ammo, your gas, your propane, your firewood, whatever it is that you are stocking up on, take a look at what you have realistically. Okay? Do you have enough food put aside for either you and your family or your mag group, whoever it is you're with? Do you have enough food put aside for 3 years? Do you have enough water put aside? Or do you have a sustainable water source for multiple years? Do you have enough ammo to fight off the roving band of idiots, a certain form of military, whatever that looks like? Do you have enough to fight them off for more than 3 months? Okay? Your firewood. Do you have enough firewood stocked up, ready to go? If the power grid goes down, you now have to use a wood stove. Do you have your wood stove ready? Do you have all the components in place so that you can just move it in and set it up? And do you have enough firewood? Okay, if it's a 3-year SHTF, you need to have at least 2 winters full of firewood. Do you have that? Okay. One of the things that Mr. Positive Prepper and I talked about was that heightened personal security. Now is the time, guys. And this is more than just being aware, being alert, being vigilant, carrying your sidearm if you have one, barricading your doors if you have a way to do so. You need to be thinking about, if you have that alternative water supply, how are you going to protect that long term? Long term. Because poisoning water is a very effective way for any enemy to get people to flee their safe space. Okay? Do you have your alternate source of heat and energy? And it's not just about having that alternative, but do you have the resources to keep that alternative heat and energy going long term? So take stock, take a realistic stock of what you have in that alternative heat and energy source. Okay? Our alternative heat is going to be the wood stove. Do we have enough wood put aside for long term? Your gas is going to run out, so your chainsaw is not going to run 2 years down the road. So do you have an alternative means of gaining that resource? Do you have a way to get that resource back to your location? Okay, if you live in the country, most likely you're surrounded by trees, unless you're in North or South Dakota or Kansas or places like that. Here in Wisconsin, we have an abundance of trees. But we're not the only ones that are going to be cutting those down. And you also have to have a means to get the firewood from point A to point B. Without, if you don't have horses or cows or huge dogs that can, drag the sled across the snow or whatever it is, okay? You also need, what do you have for gas? Okay, you can add additives to your gas to make it longer, but how long is your gas actually in reality going to last? What do you need it for? How can you cut down on using any of that right now to extend the supply that you have right now? That's what you need to be looking at. Having cash on hand is a good thing. It's going to work for about 3 days. Okay? And again, I've said in another video, that gold and silver thing. Governments around the world are buying up gold like ridiculously. Which tells me that governments around the world know that something's coming down the pipe. And so they're stocking up on all that gold and silver. Remember, gold was the currency before we had our cash. It's horribly expensive for lay people like us to get any sort of stockpile on. But remember that you can stockpile barter items. Your alcohol, your cigarettes, your first aid stuff, medications, toilet paper. All of these things are going to be invaluable in a long-term SHTF. So if you can't afford the gold and silver, look for those barter items. And how much, if you have barter items, how long realistically will those barter items get you through an SHTF? Okay? And again, the same as gas is propane. Batteries. Do you have enough batteries for the longer SHTF? Remember, it's going to require more resources than we think because it's going to last longer than we think. So when we say stack it to the rafters, stack it again, that's a very common prepper phrase. We mean it. Okay? You think you've got enough food now for 3 months, that's great. But what happens if SHTF lasts a year and a half? Do you have a sustainable food source? And I'm not saying all of this, again, to scare you. That's not the point of this. For those of you that have been prepping for a while, you need to take stock at what you have and figure out the realistic sustainability of all the resources that you are going to need to survive. Whether it's for you, your family, or your mag group, take a realistic look at it. You know, like I said, we have been prepping now, what's 9 years now. We have been prepping. And we still aren't in the place where we are completely comfortable. Like, we know we need to do more. We're building up our barter items. We're extending our food sustainability. You know, we're looking at all of this because SHTF, from the multiple directions it's probably going to come, we're going to use more resources than we think, and so we want to build up those resources. And then also, like I said, having a way to get those resources back to where you are. So if you need to go get water, how are you going to carry it? How are you going to move it? Same with your firewood. If you need to go out and get other types of resources, you need to figure out a way to do that. And you need to do that, again, as grid down, and possibly even without the use of a vehicle or what have you. Okay? So this is what I want you to think. SHTF is probably going to come from multiple directions at once with everything that's going on. It is going to last longer than you think it will, and it will require more resources than you think. So start thinking in those terms when you look at the prepping supplies that you already have. All right? Please hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. It helps me stay on and keep doing what I'm doing. And the notification bell so that you know when a new video is coming up. But as always, and most importantly, be ready mentally, physically, and spiritually. So stay safe, stay aware, and God bless you all.